Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining. This is the first in our series of podcast style / AMAs. I have to apologize my sound quality. I was planning to buy a better mic, but it didn't happen in time. Things are too busy. I'm Jan, CEO, founder of ChainsAtlas, a little place where we do marginal things like completely revolutionizing the way you build for blockchain in the future. And today with me here is Dimitri from Unicast, CEO and founder as well. Welcome to Linking the Blogs. I'm not sure he has the right link to speak. Dimitri, are you there?
I think we're good now, Jan.
Now I think it was a problem on my side. I couldn't really hear anything.
Perfect.
Welcome. Now it works.
Thank you. All good, and thank you for having me. Yes, a pleasure.
Thanks for being here. So you've been working in recruitment for a long time, and you have this new exciting project called Unicast with a huge number of followers on LinkedIn, not on LinkedIn, on Telegram, on LinkedIn, of course, as well. So maybe you want to do a quick introduction. You're probably much better suited for that than I would be.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. And again, a pleasure to join you today. So yeah, sure. I can tell you a bit more about what we do. Maybe so quick word about myself. So to explain also a bit how we came with the idea of building Unicast. So I've been an entrepreneur a long time. I've always been in tech. I've been in crypto for quite some time, since 2018. And as you mentioned, I happen to be the co-founder of an international recruitment firm that we started coming to 14 years ago now. So we have a few offices. And so I've been exposed to tech companies. I've been exposed to Web3 companies, both from an entrepreneur myself and as well as managing a recruitment firm. And I came to the conclusion that Web3, as I guess you know, it's a very specific industry. It is still relatively recent. It moves, it changes very quickly, and the participants have their own way of doing things. They are using tools and processes that other industries are not yet using. And so to go straight to the point, if you look at it from a recruitment perspective, most people in Web3 are not active on the main established platforms such as LinkedIn and other Web2 legacy job boards and career hubs. And it creates a real issue if you are just like yourself, Jan, you're a founder of a company in Web3, you want to hire. It's difficult to use these well-established platforms. And this is precisely...
Don't mind me. I know exactly.
There you go. There you go. So this is exactly what we're trying to fix with Unicast. I believe Web3 needs its own career hub. Everybody's on Telegram in Web3. It's the main platform where people discuss this. We are on Telegram today all together. At Unicast, we are building a career hub on Telegram. With an ecosystem of bots, with a mini app. Companies can post jobs, you can apply to jobs, you can find great talents over there. But we also want to go further than this. We want to build a platform where Web3 enthusiasts can learn, can communicate, can share, just like today. And we want to bring in as many good partners on the platform as well to provide all sorts of insights, content, and at some point even trainings. So that's a bit about what we're trying to do. We are very enthusiastic about where Web3 is going, and it's always so encouraging to see how many people and young guys and fresh grads, very smart people want to go into Web3. So we want to participate in this with a superior career hub specifically for Web3.
Yeah, I think that's something that's really desperately needed. The traditional, not that they generally work well. Recruiting is always a bit of a mess. It's never easy, and it's time consuming. But I think particularly in Web3, we found it a lot more difficult to find really good talent. And we know that a lot of our ecosystem partners, and we'll have a lot of them coming into this show in the coming weeks, and I'm sure they will share the same sentiment. We find it extremely hard. Oftentimes, we have teams that have everything ready to go, but they cannot launch in time because they struggle to find the right people, mainly on the tech side. I don't know if that's something you can confirm. That's my very admittedly subjective impression, is that especially for tech development up to management level, CTO level, there's absolutely a lack of people.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, as you've said, it's never easy to hire the right people for a specific business. And it is still critical, right? You have, as you've said, and you know this yourself perfectly as a founder. You have an idea, you have a first product, or you have an MVP. You may even have raised funds, but you can't scale or even go in production if you don't have the right team and the required talents. So tech talents, I would probably agree that it's the main, I would say, pain. It's very difficult to identify from entry level developers to CTOs, as you've said. They usually, I mean, there are people around, obviously, but I would say, first of all, they don't like to be too visible. And I totally get this. If you are a good blockchain developer and you put your CV online on one of the platforms I've mentioned, you will probably be getting 10 messages every day. And they don't like this. So it's not easy to identify them. And also the talent pool is still quite small, I would say, because blockchain, it's still a emerging, I would say, industry, everything related with blockchain. So there are much more of talent available in other more established tech industries, I would say. So yeah, I would agree, especially probably for tech related skills.
Yeah. So you would identify two primarily factors. One, the talent pool is somewhat limited, and the second one, the channel to get to those people the channels to get to those people are more narrow. Let's put it that way, than maybe for somebody that's in a field where, like a social media community manager, whose job it is to be exposed and to talk to people, right? So a tech person would, and I mean, I have been working in tech for a long, long time. Like, that is very much in line with my experience. You also need to focus on your work in a certain way, and you cannot be that approachable and communicative like maybe in other jobs you would be, right? Because you need to work on your code. You need to be really focused on it. I mean, I think we both studied physics. We can associate to a degree when you have a problem and you want to solve it, you're really not in the mood for chit chat, right? And I think that could be one of the problems there. Right? It's really, really interesting. And from what I've seen in Unicast, it's a really nice approach. You have basically a forum in form of a Telegram channel. And as I understand, you add more and more features in form of mini apps and AI-driven. But maybe you can tell a little bit more about the features that you plan to put there, and how to change this, how to make it easier to approach those talents.
Yeah, sure. Happy to share a bit more. We have a lot of things that we are planning to add to the current platform. So the product is live. Essentially, what we have today is you have a channel where we're getting close to 12,000 Web3 professionals on it. You have a mini app, and you have bots where Web3 projects post jobs opening. So permanent, but also part-timers, freelancers. That's probably something we can touch on a bit today, that it is a very gig economy driven, I would say, market. So a lot of Web3 participants have multiple gigs, multiple jobs. But what we do is we allow through a mini app Web3 projects to post their jobs. And as long as you have Telegram, you can look at the jobs, you can filter them, search by any categories you are interested in. You can apply to these jobs. In that case, the projects advertising the jobs would get your applications, your CV, your notes, anything you want to share with them. Plus point, you may decide that you want to share your Telegram ID with them. In that case, it's an easy way to establish a direct connection with them. Projects can just ping you on Telegram as well. As you've said, we have AI that we are bringing and developing onto the platform to help Web3 projects, help them assessing applications, because they could get quite a number of applications. And there again, they are founders. Quite often they are very busy. They don't have the time, or maybe they don't have the experience to go through all these CVs. And as far as the users and the participants, I think we bring in an easy way to keep in touch with what's going on in the market in terms of openings. Again, you have your Telegram, you have your mobile phone in your pocket. You can browse the channel. You can build your profile if you want, so you could apply in just one click. It can be anonymous. Only when you apply to a job, the company will know who you are. And as far as future features, we are going to bring in, and I'm quite excited about this, what we call referral rewards and bounties. Imagine, Ian, at ChainsAtlas, you want to hire someone, you would put a job onto Unicast. You may decide to allocate some rewards. Crypto, could be stablecoins, could be your own token, and tell the participants, okay, share the jobs with your friends, help us hire, help us spread the good word. Every time they do this, they would get some rewards. Yeah, exactly. You're true. And when they hire if they refer to you the right person, you may also decide to allocate a bounty, and in that case, they will get a larger amount of money and crypto to compensate for their efforts. So they are basically you are building a collaborative recruitment network.
It's really much in line, and that's what I like about it, with the ideals and the ideas of Web3 in general. A little side note, if you have questions, please do ask us on our official channel. We will record them and go through a little bit of a Q&A, AMA session later, or if it fits right now, we're happy to also look at it and give you an answer maybe a little bit within our conversation. Thanks for joining, everyone. I see we have 12 people here for the very first of this. That's actually a nice turnout. Dimitri, you've been working in Web3 or with Web3 related project for a while, I assume, in your former role as a recruiter already. So what's your journey in Web3, crypto, blockchain? I think that would be interesting to learn. And how did you identify this problem out? I assume your own experience in the space.
Yeah, so I studied in tech overall a long time ago, and I've always observed, just like what you were saying as well, that it is difficult to hire when you are in a startup or even in a big company. It's not easy to hire. I went into recruitment as the co-founder of Naus International 14 years ago. And there again, I was directly exposed with my teams to these difficulties, because in that case, we were in the position that, okay, we were the guys who were supposed to solve the problem, right, as recruiters. And we've hired, I believe, in 39 countries overall in the past few years. And I can tell you there's no single one country where it is not an issue or it is not difficult to hire. And I So to your question, I went into crypto in 2018. I found out about Ethereum that was obviously already established, but that's okay. I had heard about Bitcoin and Ethereum, but being busy with my own companies, I didn't really
Yeah.
spend time on it before 2018. And I became quite fascinated by Bitcoin and Ethereum, started investing a bit myself, playing around,
Probably
2020.
losing it pretty quickly in 2018.
Say
That's
again?
often the story, isn't it? Probably losing quite a bit quite quickly in 2018.
Of,
That's usually the story you hear.
absolutely. You buy the top and then you
Yeah.
learn, and then you have more time to study. And I did spend,
Yeah.
I would say, a very large amount of time to study DeFi and all these things, and putting it all together. That's how Unicast came around, right? It's trying to solve an issue, bringing talent, connecting talents to great projects in Web3.
Mhm. Yeah, it's very similar to my story in a way, though I'm really late. I started at the tail end of the last bull market, so just a couple of years ago. And my exposure was actually through a project that we were asked to do. And that's where actually the ChainsAtlas tech comes from. That was originally a consulting project where we worked on a problem that's completely not crypto related. That's big industry or car manufacturers in Germany. That's as much as I'm willing to say about that. But we used a solution for a specific problem that was based on blockchain technology, and that's how eventually I got into crypto. So I came actually from the tech side into the crypto side of things, and yeah, I managed to lose a bit of money at the end of that market as well. And but
There you
that's
go.
that's the interesting thing. Yeah, yeah. And then you get like it's also a bit of pride. You want to understand better, and that's how you go down the rabbit hole, right? And then it's such a sophisticated and big field nowadays with so many aspects. You learn every day, and there's something new popping up every day. So it's a fascinating environment. And that's why I think we see also a huge influx. I mean, we are, crypto is doing quite well right now. So we are in a phase where we have a huge influx of people into the industry. What I found fascinating though was even in the depth of the bear market in 22, we had actually a slight increase in number of developers in blockchain.
Yep.
Obviously, it went crazy in the bull market, and you have these people that just try it out, and then because everybody talks about it. But even in the times where Bitcoin fell by like 80%, there was, I think, 5% increase in 1 year in the developer community. So that what really convinced me also that this is an industry that's worth pursuing, and there is a future, right? Even though
Yeah,
everybody feels like it's the end of the world. I don't know if you
absolutely.
feel the same.
Oh yeah, totally, Jan. I quite often I say when people ask me why am I very bullish, first of all, and very enthusiastic about crypto, Web3. Okay, there are a lot of different things we could say. The technology, everything is all these points are fair points. The technology is the first time we can exchange value without a third party, decentralization. Yes, all these concepts. And I always also say, and it might be one of the major driver, if you look at how many very smart fresh grads are interested to join that space, I think it's also a sign that it is the future. This is, as you were saying, it has attracted, including during the bear market, tech people for sure, but also Web2 traditional marketers who want to go more into the Web3 type of marketing, very collaborative. It is the future, right? BD, also institutional BD, who wants to go into Web3. So I think there is a movement of talents going to Web3. It's one of the main drivers.
Yeah. It's a really fascinating field in that way, and it attracts also very interesting talent. And I think you see a lot of very bright and smart people in this industry. And I think it's amazing that they have a platform to basically find a good fit for them in that field. And you mentioned one thing that I wanted to talk to you about as well, and that is exactly the Web 2 to Web 3 transition. From a tech perspective, I mean, obviously that's very interesting for us and what we do, because we definitely enable you to do that quicker, but also from a business development, from a community management point of view, things are very different, right? Because you have true ownership and true decentralization, and you don't have this monolithic corporate structure in most cases. It happens, trust me. I work with crypto companies that still very much have it, but it's not the norm. And I wanted to ask you about what you see also from the people you interact with, the talent on your platform. What are the challenges in this, and how do you see the future for people that come into the field from the traditional Web 2 background, or maybe from something completely different? Maybe you have a take on that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the recurring common question, I think obviously it's a very good point. How do you get into Web3, right? It's also something we want to help with. Okay, I'm not in Web3. I'm in Web2, or as you've said, whatever industry. I may be a marketer in a different industry. I'm interested in Web3. I'm a developer, but I'm a full stack developer. I don't know blockchain. How do I go into Web3? So if we could take that angle, I think first of all, how to do this, you have to develop some skills, and you were saying it very rightly so, that some of the skills are very specific to Web3. Not only tech, obviously you would have to learn some Solidity, Rust, smart contracts, but this is tech. If you take marketing, the way to do marketing.
Just a little disclaimer, though. ChainsAtlas
exactly. Exactly. Makes it even easier. Even I could deploy smart contracts with your product.
What we have in store, what's coming up soon, you could for sure.
There you go. And I will take your word on it, Ian. I will want to try it.
I'll let you know. Once it's there, I'll let you do it. One prompt and you can deploy a smart contract. Promise.
Sounds like a deal. But if you take it from a marketing perspective, as you know, it is very different in Web3, right? So the way to build a brand in Web3 is different. It's not just something we say. The tools are different. The platforms are different. It's much more collaborative. You have to form real communities with engagement. So it's a different way. Sales is also very different, right? People are decentralized. It's not easy to meet face to face. So you have to build the skills. Then I would say you have to meet people, go to events, attend this kind of podcast. Actually, today I think it's amazing you're organizing this podcast. Attend, ask questions, meet people, and you have to start building something. You could build something as a marketer. You don't have to be a tech guy, right? You could have a blog. You could share ideas, tips, how to grow a brand, so that you have something to show to a project that could hire you. Might not be full-time. Start as a part-timer.
Yeah.
But it is growing. It is growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. I'm a strong believer as well. No, I just want to reaffirm. I'm also a very strong believer in you have to do something, right? Even if you're in this market as a crypto trader, I still believe, like, try to find something where you could build something. This is your opportunity to actually do it. It's much more engaging than, let's say, in a traditional Web2 space, right? And you can come up with a small service or product. And I think that's really the way where you really understand how the industry works and what the benefits are. And I mean, I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship in general. I run a startup accelerator in a place that probably most people wouldn't envision entrepreneurship. or wouldn't associate with entrepreneurship in Cambodia. And I can tell you, it's everywhere. People are, once they engage in ideas and building something, seeing they can create value, it's a beautiful thing to see. Though entrepreneurship can also be very challenging. I'm not going to lie about that. Okay, dear, sorry for interrupting.
I will not. No. I will not disagree with this. It is a challenge to be an entrepreneur. It is fascinating, but it's always a challenge. It's never easy, for sure. If I may ask you, going back to your accelerator, and I've promised I will visit it. How's the current? How is it going? You are exposed to startups in Cambodia. What's the current situation, and how's the temperature over there?
So the literal temperature is, I think, 30 degrees. And it's a bit rainy lately, but yeah, it's a very nascent ecosystem. There's no denying of that. Obviously, the country has been going through a lot in its history, and it's economically not in the best state, but it's getting a lot better. And what I find fascinating is there's a huge pool of very young, very motivated talent, especially in Phnom Penh. Often the English level is much higher than in, let's say, what you often find in Vietnam and other places. So it's an interesting environment. But yeah, there are challenges that are on various aspects of the entrepreneurial journey. It's not something that has been traditionally a thing, right? People wouldn't found a startup. They might have a small company selling vegetables, right? But there's not a lot of understanding of how startups work. And so that's what we found, and that's where we are. We see we can actually make an impact, and that's why it's such a fulfilling and nice journey here as well. And in a way similar to the Web3 journey, because that's also a nascent new market, right? Very different, of course, in many ways, but there's still a lot to learn, and you can share your experiences, and it's well received. And you can actually, like, if you start a startup or have a startup accelerator somewhere in the US or in Europe, your entrepreneurs they know everything. They probably started 2 companies already. They know how things work. You can still optimize on the edges. You can obviously, if it's industry specific, help, but here so in Cambodia, it's a very different story. People don't know how a cap table works in a company where you have all your shareholders. They don't understand necessarily how equity works. They definitely don't understand how token work. So there's also the now upcoming blockchain and crypto industry that's just coming up here. Just this year were 2 exchanges that were founded, the first 2, one government-backed, the other one private. And that one actually launched, I think, 6 weeks ago, somewhere in that ballpark. Actually, I would like to get the founder on this podcast at some point. So yeah, it's a very interesting and fulfilling journey, and you need to stop by. You definitely need to come next time we run our batch. Your plan.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. And that brings us to one other topic that I wanted to talk about before we open Q&A, and that is, the regional aspect. Southeast Asia, you're based in Singapore, you live in Singapore for a long time. If I'm not mistaken, you're married to a Singaporean lady.
Absolutely.
So maybe you can say a few words about how do you see the future, particularly in this part of the world? What are the unique aspects of generally industry here, but obviously particular Web3? Is there a different structure than you would, let's say, in our original home, Europe or the US? So that's something I always find very interesting. I will give you my take afterwards, but I'd like to hear yours.
Sure. Yeah, that's interesting question for sure. So I think, first of all, Southeast Asia, it's a very, very diverse region, right? We just mentioned Europe. I think there is probably more diversity in Southeast Asia, country to country, comparable compared to Europe. But okay, if I try to break it down a bit, with the angle of what's happening in Web3, right? So maybe starting with Singapore, we know Singapore, it's an established hub, not only in Web3, but it is a clear Web3 hub as well. But you have a lot of very large tech companies. American companies have their Asian headquarters in Singapore. Same thing with large Chinese companies. And there's a pretty strong scene in Web3, startups, but also more for the institutional side, like custodians, exchanges, hedge funds are in Singapore. If we look at the other countries, I think it's very promising. First of all, Southeast Asia, it's a big region, right? If we compare to Europe, Southeast Asia itself, it's probably around, I think, 750 million people overall, just looking at Southeast Asia. Very connected, very digital driven on their mobile, very keen to try new products, and probably quite forward looking in terms of adoption to technology. That's why I think it's a very promising region. There are pools of talents in Indonesia, in Malaysia, tech talents, marketers. You've mentioned Vietnam as well. So there are pools of talents, maybe not yet as dense as in other parts of the world, such as some countries in Europe or the US, but clearly the younger generation is tech savvy and going into these industries, including Web3. So overall, I think it's a very promising region. And it's not only promising, there are already a lot of things happening. Projects, you mentioned incubators, accelerators, your own initiative in Cambodia. I believe it might be the first in Cambodia. And I think it's a clear trend. So being based in Southeast Asia, I think it's actually an advantage because there is a established scene, but it is growing. And I think I would even say quite fast growing. And there are people moving to Southeast Asia for a number of reasons. So yeah, I'm very enthusiastic about the region, the drive of the people, and they are very keen to try new digital solutions and products.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree on that. Like the adoption of technology is so much faster than back in Europe. I mean, it has obviously to do with demographics. The population here is on average a lot younger. I mean, Cambodia is a nice example. I think the median age is something ridiculously low, 27. Don't quote me on it, but it's very low. And you see adoption of technology like QR payments and so on. Not that I'm a fan of them. I have my little pet peeve with it because when you travel a lot and everywhere it's a different QR code. And anyways, I could go on a tangent with this, so I won't. But the adoption is really quick. You've seen it in China back in the days, but now in Southeast Asia. And what I find interesting is, and what I think is a difference, and you touched on that a little bit as well. People are very active to do something, but most, and this is an interesting aspect also for us when what we are doing. Most major infrastructure projects that take longer time to come about, to develop, to put into place, and that are bigger in scale, they mostly still come from the US and Europe, at least the noteworthy ones. And I would like to see that trend to change. And there are some nice initiatives in the direction. I mean, we partner with a number of Asian chains, but most of them are still mainly playing with a differentiator being local or having a certain industry aspect, but there's not that much really breakthrough innovation. On smaller scale, yeah, in the DeFi sector and so on, I see a lot of plays that are coming out of Asia, GameFi, that are quite innovative. But on the infrastructure side, maybe it's too boring. I don't know, but I don't see that much. But that's just my own perspective. I don't have data to back it up, to be frank.
I think it's an interesting observation. I'm thinking out loud, but I think I would agree. And that you mentioned something, but maybe you said maybe it's too boring. I think that I have no data to back this up. So, but this is just my own feeling, I would say. But people in the region, in Asia overall, and are looking at applications, right? Okay, can I pay with my phone? Can I book a cab with my phone? Can I book a cab on Telegram? Right, and it's possible. Super apps. Look at WeChat, and a bit maybe less on the infrastructure side, because this is a bit of the legacy, approach. And we are always looking in the region for, okay, how can I bring in an application I can use now to do something with it? Yeah, but we could dig a bit more on that, but yeah, I think there's something there.
Yeah. We are running, unfortunately, out of time, but it is an interesting aspect. I think maybe you come again in a few weeks, and we can go from where we left off. But unfortunately, we are getting closer to the end of this podcast, and I would like to ask everyone. We have maybe 5 to 10 minutes. If you have questions, please do post them on the channel. I haven't figured out how to let individuals speak here. I promise we manage that next time. Or maybe the young lady that's actually managing this all has. Someday you found a way. Okay.
At least we managed to speak, both of us.
Exactly. We did find a way. So if you have questions, just raise your hand, or whatever you do on Telegram to do that. Again, it's the first time. We are still learning. It's very experimental. Or just write a comment on the channel. I see not many so far. So if you have questions, please let us know, and do ask them. Otherwise, I thank you all for being here and listening to our ramblings. Thank you. Well, mine, Dimitri obviously had very insightful information. Anyway, thank you so much for being here and doing this with us. And you're always welcome.
Thank you, Ian. The next time we do it together in Cambodia.
I take you up on that. Thanks a lot to everyone. Linking the blogs is back in 2 weeks. In the meantime, please do check out ChainsAtlas.com and our social media channels if you're interested in building better, more scalable apps for blockchain. Thank you so much. And obviously Unicast, if you need to hire developers to do so, or whatever role in crypto and blockchain. Thank you so much, and see you again in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.